We're alive.
All right. Hey, there's some people coming on from my team right now. I've got my lead video producer, editor. I've got my script editor. And look at all these other people. This is wonderful. Lots of people from Colorado. Hey, you
Pam,
guys.
Walter,
Hey,
Scott, Mary. Oh,
Angela,
my
Teresa.
co-author. I think I just saw my co-author for my book Conservatism, America's Personality Disorder. My co-author, Dan Brown, clinical psychologist.
Awesome. Well, I have an author
Al
friend named
Griffiths.
Dan Brown.
There's a lot of Dan
Yes.
Browns. There's a lot of them.
Yeah. Peg, hello. Karma, hello. Yeah, baby, come on in. Barb, good to see you. Lots of hearts. I like to see lots of heart
Be careful,
people.
Steve. You're going to end up on a live stream. I have some very
Hey, you
gracious
guys,
hosts.
I want to warn you guys, Chris has already cracked his toes. He's in his sock
I
feet.
know. I'm
He's
comfortable.
Yeah, he's chilled out. He's not out on the streets right now, but he can show you out the window that it's still pretty cold and snowy there.
I
Give
definitely
him a
can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although it's less snowy than cold. I mean, I go out in the morning to go to different events around Minneapolis, and it'll be -6, when I go outside. Yeah.
Hey, Sherry. Hello. Hey, Christian. Hi there. Woo! Woo! Yeah. So I
So I'm
got a
glad.
message last here. Come on in. Come on. Come in, you
Hi, Elaine.
guys.
Good to see a message from Elaine. I see her talk about a lot of stuff. Uh,
Sherry's here from LA.
North Carolina, Cecily, I'm going to
Yeah.
be in Charlotte. I'm going to be in Charlotte in a week for an Indivisible event and meeting with some state reps down there. And let me tell you that there are a lot of people who are really excited about soft secession policies at the state level, which is where it all happens.
Okay, so Jean in Massachusetts is freezing her butt off. We're cold here in Colorado too, but less snowy than we have been. Unfortunately, we need the snow. Hey, Juanita, hello. Yeah, Maryland, come on, you guys. North Carolina, iced into her driveway. Sicily, I'm so sorry. Watching us on your phone. Hey, you guys, this is wonderful to see all of you. Hello from Oakland. Yeah, freezing your butt off. There's a bunch of us like that. Okay,
Canada.
so it's Canada. Come on in, Jake. Good to see you. Look at all these hearts. Woohoo! We like
I
hearts.
think Zupa is Ukrainian for soup, if I'm not mistaken. For any Ukrainian folks, yeah, привіт, як справи? Although I'm in
Oh,
Minnesota, but I thought a little Ukraine. I've been taking Ukrainian for a few months.
Katie says it's cold in Texas too. Hey, Channy. Channy is our venerable podcast host. Hey, Ed, my neighbor, says hi from across the street.
Io parlare italiano così così.
Oh, yeah, just go ahead and show off. Italiano. Katy, Texas. Good to see you guys. Yeah, listen, everybody, we're going to talk a little bit, but we want to keep hearing from you too. Um, Chris is on the ground in Minneapolis, and he's going to talk to us a little bit. And then I'm hoping too we can talk about what Coloradans can do to resist and prepare in case we have brown shirts come. So Jean wants to know if Ed, my neighbor, is married. Yeah, he's taken. He got snapped. Cincinnati, hello. It is so good to see you guys. Aurora, come on in. Parker, we love you. Yeah, baby, come on. So, Chris, everyone loves your hat. Next time, tell me we're doing hats. I'm bringing my cowboy hat.
Deal. I was telling just before we hopped on here, I was telling Sandy, I've been talking to some veterans out here about doing some sort of a thing where we wear our most ridiculous flag covered clothing and we go out and we go to the ICE agents and we're just really intensely like USA, USA, but in hopefully a way that gets the message across that they are anti-USA. You know, it's actually it's really it's been fascinating studying. I remember watching the Colbert Report years ago, and they do the USA chants, and now I realize like, oh, for non like hillbilly folk though, that's what part of why this protest might not work is for non-hillbilly or like redneck folks, hearing the chant of USA could sound scary. Like think about it, in 2026, you hear a pickup truck and you hear USA. That will scare people. That's great. They stole our flag. Exactly. Like gosh,
Yeah.
I want a new patriotism. New patriotism.
Yeah, yeah, we do. We have to. But I mean, the thing about the protests is that's not the only thing they're yelling. And I saw a video this morning, crowd in Minneapolis yelling so loud at ICE. I mean, they're people there are really fed up of having their
Yeah.
city
Well,
occupied. Tell us what it's like there.
well, I will say the Whipple building has become quite the hub for uh okay, I'm not putting any of these people down. Great folks coming from all over, and they got their selfie sticks and they're talking about it and spreading the information, and I'm glad about that. But also, I hope people remember like we're here to support the people on the ground and the activists, and it's about them at every step, and that's such an important thing. So what I'm seeing on the ground, it actually, I mean, today's been the most depressing day of the trip, which has been, there's been a lot of high points. I mean, the high point is seeing huge numbers of this community step up. The people here are doing the things they need to be doing. The politicians are not. But today was a depressing day because I witnessed firsthand how the Minneapolis Police Department, whose chief has gone all over, he talks to the New York Times and talks to leaders from different, organizations and says, "Gosh, we've done so much work here, and ICE is really messing it up." And the fact is, Chief O'Hara, his department, he said 56 days ago, he said, if our officers see someone breaking the law, they have a duty to intervene or they will be fired. Well, it's been 56 days. Not one officer has been released. Not one agent on duty has been charged, prosecuted, or arrested. And that makes Chief O'Hara a liar. And the same goes for District Attorney Mary Moriarty, one of the most important people in the country right now, because I hold her even more accountable than I hold the police chief, because her job is to charge people in this area in Hennepin County and say you have committed a crime, you will be charged. She herself said that Jonathan Ross, that we had the information we need to charge him. No arrest warrant's been issued. Mary Moriarty, she needs to step down and resign so somebody who's ready to do the job can do it. She said she's not running for re-election. I'm getting off my soapbox, but Mary Moriarty, Chief O'Hara, do your jobs or resign.
Yeah, she joined a group of prosecutors that are like,
FAFO.
issuing some
They called themselves FAFO.
yeah,
That's their acronym. Is if faction against federal overreach. She could charge Jonathan Ross, and I would argue that Alex Pretty would be alive today if Mary Moriarty had done her job and charged Jonathan Ross. Because across the country, we got a lot of people who might be effective deterrents. You look at Philadelphia, and they say if you come into our town and you commit crimes, we're going to charge you. Maybe it's been a deterrent, maybe it hasn't. But Minneapolis clearly has extra attention. Murders are happening here, and you don't protect justice by delaying it. You don't protect justice by saying, oh, well, we need to wait so we don't have the Insurrection Act. You defend freedom and justice by defending freedom and justice without delay.
look at all these people here. This is wonderful. People are talking about ICE out today. No buying. It's going to take all of us to defeat the tyranny we're currently living through. I am seeing people from Italy, England, Canada, and all over the US. Look at this. We have so many people on here today. And because you're on the ground there, one thing I want to ask you about is, do you feel like the people of Minneapolis are starting to press their leaders and their prosecutors to get on board and defend at the state level? I mean, the
The
people are doing it, but the
yeah,
politicians aren't.
the general strike today, uh, great step in the right direction, and it's not the first one. There's capacity building and interest building. It will get more tense, but ultimately, what I see here is among the people is entirely promising. I'm going to say it's my fault for being disappointed this morning about the MPD and the sheriff and the National Guard showing that they are there to help ICE by controlling protesters in a way that gets less negative attention and also facilitates more ICE officers going out into the community to terrorize people. It's my fault for being disappointed about that because I should have expected that that's their job and that's what they do. But the people on the ground are building capacity. They're showing up for general strikes. They're warning each other's neighbors. They're not being intimidated when agents are showing up at their door to say, "You're on a list. Did you know that? You're a domestic terrorist." They're not being intimidated. They're coming back stronger every time. And that's the only way that we win. Don't bet on politicians protecting us or saving us. Build solidarity in your community. If you got 5 people doing a little general strike this week, cool. Make it 10 next week. Invite more people and keep growing and building solidarity. Moderate your expectations. This is going to take a couple of years. We got to build the civic engagement muscle. And then as far as the politicians, well, me and my crews, we've distributed thousands of posters with information where it'll say, represent or resign. It'll have a title like Keith Ellison. It'll say a phone number to his office, and then it'll say in quotes something that we recommend you consider saying, like, order all law enforcement in the state to intervene or prosecute, or, if it'll be Governor Walz, it'll say, instruct all, do an executive order in the state that any ICE agents that won't identify themselves to law enforcement officers should be treated as if they are common criminals and not agents of the government, and we will sort it out once they are in some sort of an official detainment situation separate from the environment that they're in. You stand up to fascism by standing up to fascism. I was talking to a state level employee underneath a state level AG, and they were saying, we got to keep showing up with lawsuits and with this and that. And I'm like, but you yourself just admitted that they do not listen to the lawsuits. They've ignored over a third of the rulings, and those are the rulings they don't like. So, but then I could not get this person to say, oh, yeah, well, I guess if they break the rules, then continuing to use the exact same rules and expecting them to rein them in is the definition of insanity. But the point is, don't expect them to figure it out. Our job is to become so powerful that they can't stop reality and truth and justice from taking hold.
So, Chris, we have to mention this. Today, 2 journalists got arrested, Don Lemon and Georgia Fort. And this administration is also into the election records at Fulton County, Georgia. The DNI was there. And we're looking at Rubicons being crossed at, regular intervals. We're deep into fascism, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, we've been a fascist nation for over a year. I mean, also, if there's any music fans out there, System of a Down, I was listening to their first album from 1998, album that I think it was their self-titled album, but it has Sugar and some of those songs on it. But in that album, they're talking about, they have actually, and their second album with Hollywood on the cover, maybe that was the self-titled album. I'm sorry for forgetting the album names, but the one with where it has the Hollywood sign on the cover, it came out a week before 9/11, and it had songs specifically saying the U.S. is a fascist nation. They're trying to build a prison for all of us. Like, it was so weird listening to this song, or these songs that were saying the United States is fascist. We, oligarchs and wealthy corporations send us to fight wars all over the world we fund their evil, imperialist, money-oriented goals. This was 25 years ago that this happened. So we didn't just become fascists. Trump didn't invent American fascism. He's just their hero. He's their star quarterback.
Yeah, well, quarterback. Anyway, he's their puppet dummy. But you're talking about music. Look at how many comments we have had about Springsteen's latest song about Minneapolis. I mean, that thing rocks. And right now I'm working on the podcast for Are You Okay, which is a lament about Alex Pretty's murder. And I'm thinking this would be the perfect song, but wading through copyright permissions is really hard. But I mean, Bruce has done the deal. And he's not the only musician. So Neil Young gave all the rights to all his music to Greenland. I mean, there are artists out there doing the right thing, doing the good thing. It's awesome. And somebody noted that now 4 journalists have been. Is that right? Hey, Basil, hello, my artist friend. Look, it's so good to see you guys in New Mexico. Santa Fe, woohoo! Yay! Hi, Ana Menendez. Come on in. Good to see you guys. The comments have been great. Have you been watching them?
A little bit, a
Look at
little bit.
the march to fascism started as far back as Nixon, Michael Clarkson. He's
Well,
been
yeah,
my voice over.
as soon as they chose not to prosecute Nixon, they set a precedence above the law. And this country's been barreling. I mean, also the bombings in Cambodia. I mention that all the time. The largest bombing campaign since World War II, and we did it to a nation we weren't. I mean, we shouldn't have been in Vietnam. But in that case, Henry Kissinger just said, "I think they're moving guns to this other country," and then they just bomb the heck out of it. We are paying for the sins of our fathers, and I mean, some of these guys are older than our fathers who are running the country now, and but we're paying for their sins collectively. Our shadow. We did not effectively I mean, also, it's not our job to feel bad because powerful people since World War II and even since the Civil War have worked their butts off to take control. Don't feel bad because we as the people did not effectively stop that. Feel empowered that in this moment we recognize that we can come together in solidarity and fight back and take power the only way it's ever been taken, the same way it was taken when we started this country. You get mean and you band together because there's more of us than there are of the oligarchs.
So I have a question here that I feel like we need to answer. Elaine Demasi wants to know what we can do for Minneapolis and Minnesota.
There's great organizations that you can get a hold of. They're distributing food and care packages to families that are stuck inside. There's legal defense funds. Check those out. I should be able to put something out soon, actually, that is some vetted stuff. But there's great anything Ilhan Omar recommends. You're going to be able to bet on that. She's done a better job of that than I have. And I mean, but I'll tell you what, if you want to help Minnesota, go to your community. Like that, you bring the fight to the fascists on your home turf, and it will pull resources away from here. That's my biggest piece of advice. That's my recommendation.
So, Tricia, you've just listed the journalists Don Lemon, Georgia Fort, which we mentioned before, Traherne Jean Crew, and Jamal Lydell Lundy. 4 journalists today. This is serious. Chris, you're a journalist. I'm a journalist. That's my degree. That's my background. And journalists are being arrested. How do you approach this in your work now?
On a personal level, I try not to think too much about risk. I just find that it can get in the way of doing what you know needs to be done. I have my years ago, I got my Class C skydiving license, and I told myself I had to have a switch in my brain that I used during that period, and I called it my stupid switch. And I just would, I'm just going to not think about how this could go bad. And that's the same. I can't tell other people how to react. I can tell you that what I do in this situation is flip my stupid switch a little bit. Look, I'm here to I when I joined the military, I was signing up because I at least was making a pledge, taking an oath that I was going to serve the United States, its people, and its Constitution, and I still see that as the work that I do. And so as far as risk, their goal is to intimidate us. The more we ignore it, and that rolls back to soft secession. Ignore the fascists and do your work. Don't let them slow you down, intimidate you, or stop you. That's how you win.
Well, and soft secession too is about making alliances between states so that we slow down everything. The money doesn't go back to the federal government if the federal government is denying money to us. We can stand up our own defense force by law, a law that's on the books in Colorado, so that we can protect Coloradans' rights and freedoms. We are really lucky to have a trifecta here. We have a blue executive branch, a blue Colorado Senate, and a blue Colorado House. They can do things now. They can enact legislation that helps Coloradans because they can arrest for crimes on the ground. So I think there are things that blue states can do with the soft secession thing, but people locally have to pressure our Colorado House and our Colorado Senate and our governor to do these things.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the American public is hungry for candidates who are going to say it how it is. And how it is the Republican Party is a transnational criminal organization funded and paid for, led and organized by America's enemies, whether they be oligarchs internally or powerful hostile actors in other countries. You want my vote? Ooh, the best way to get it is just to say the truth that we all know, or at least 60% of us know, that the Donald Trump and the GOP and all those guys belong in jail, that billionaires are a problem, that they have too much power. And just by nature of being a billionaire, you are too powerful because money is like gravity and they turn into black holes that will eat up your democracy. You cannot have billionaires and democracy at the same time. I need to put that on a t-shirt. I want to wear that t-shirt right now.
Yeah, let's get those T-shirts made. You have a Buy Me a Coffee account. People can order them from you.
Well, I got the store too, the existentialistrepublic.com store. And I think we made these discount code or free coupon codes where we made 10 of them and it was CAMUS, like Camus, Albert Camus. And I think only like 8 people used them. So if like one person or 2 people right now went to the website and filled their cart with like $20 worth of stuff and used CAMUS, they'd probably get free stuff immediately. I probably shouldn't mention that right now though, because people will leave the chat to go do that.
Yeah, don't
But
leave, don't leave. Say here, look at what Basil said. The Epstein class needs to be done away with. I talked about that a lot in my podcast, Everybody Wants to Rule the World. It's not a far stretch to put Epstein with a lot of the people that are doing wrong things right now, because that class is protecting itself. It's rich, it's wealthy, it's elite, and they're dividing up the world. We have a problem as journalists in that the major media is all controlled by those people. And so we
yeah.
have chosen to go to Substack, where it's still fairly free, right? So, I mean, it's hard. We don't have a fairness doctrine anymore. That destroyed journalism. That allowed Fox News to operate lying to the people for 30 years. And it's shaped the way people think. It's shaped the consciousness of the underinformed. So, I
Yeah.
mean, we have a big uphill struggle as a country if we want to reclaim democracy, if we want to stand up for truth, and also if we're interested in justice. If we had justice, Fox News would not be on the air.
That is so true. I had somebody say, because I regularly say that, look, if you are paid by, we're at a movie theater watching a movie, and if you are paid to come into a movie theater and shout fire when there's no fire so that people will freak out and leave, that gets you put in handcuffs. That gets you metal bracelets. Well, these Fox News and these other extremist news outlets are being paid by, notice a trend here. They're being paid by America's enemies, hostile foreign and domestic actors, to destroy the American society, destroy the American government. And that's a crime. Even if you don't want to call it a law, that's a crime. And that's what we need to get back to is common sense governance. Hey, these people are being paid to mess with America. And if they want to do any fancy white shoe lawyer messing around to try to say that we're entertainment, not news. No, too bad. I'm going to fight for you to be in jail for destroying the American system, for waging war on freedom and justice.
And we're again at not arresting people for committing a crime, right?
Yeah, well, we're arresting innocent people like Don Lemon, but we're not putting people like Jonathan Ross in jail. So get out of here with that. Like that guy, I hate when, not you, but when people throw that garbage out there, well, we need to take our time. The fascists have no problem hurting innocent people. It's time that we start holding the guilty people accountable.
Well, and also, I mean, we have elected officials that are lying to the public routinely. Why is that not a crime? I mean, why misinforming the public, manipulating them to get certain results? I mean, we have to figure this out from the ground up again. I don't think we can deal with the existing structure. And I've been saying this for a long time. When you came along and started naming the soft secession thing, it all sort of made sense to me because I'd already been talking to people about, look, it's rotten. It's full of money. I mean, if it's full of money, it's rotten, right? We can't have politics that are full of money. They obey their donors. No, they have to at least consider their donors no matter how good they are. So this system, as it is, will not work again. We have to figure it out from the studs up. Am I right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The system, we can't go back. This was the inevitable outcome of a system that became increasingly destroyed from the inside. The termites of corruption have been infesting these walls for far too long for us to just remove. We can't just get rid of the drywall or throw a coat of paint on. It will not work. We need better pillars from the start. You know, the European Union did such a good job of looking post World War II and saying we need to find room to collaborate despite our issues, because this would be, we need to maintain our sovereignty and say, even though we have deep disagreements, we're going to create some standards and expectations around freedom of the press, access to democracy, fair judicial systems. We're going to combine monetary policy, military resources, and still give countries the ability to be their own nation. They learned from what was done before. There are only two governments on earth that have been standing in their current form longer than us without radical change. England and, oh gosh, what is the other one? One of the Norwegian, it might be Norway, or no, it's Iceland maybe. I think Iceland has had the same parliamentary system since around 12 or 1300. But if I'm getting it wrong, apologies. I'll Google it after this, or you can just at me about it. But yeah, I mean, so about two countries have been operating on roughly the same system for longer than us. It's time for an overhaul, for us to explore how we can do things better, because there's no reason that we just figured out government 250 years ago. And in fact, what's happened is we've given 250 years for things to rot and for the bad actors to game the system steadily over time so that the Confederacy could win.
So we had a really great question in the chat. How do we get going here when 30% of people believe all the lies?
Bad news, it's 40% according to the most recent polls.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
you're right.
Now, there's actually a really elegant solution to that. And I'll mention, soft secession, or by the way, that also works in your cities or in your county. It's not about consensus building. It's about saying we must take power where we can. Where do we wield the most influence? Let's go knock on that door. And that door is the power at the lowest level possible. Take over a school board if you can, city council, a single state legislative seat with somebody who's willing to say, we're just going to make healthcare, we're going to solve healthcare in our state. That's my job, is to just say, nope, here's the solution. And if the Supreme Court wants to say it's illegal to just make sure everyone has good health care, well, then forget them. We don't have time for that garbage. We're busy doing serious governance.
Yeah, and I got to give a shout out to my county, Douglas County, ruby red county in a blue state. But all the activists got together and started doing something about it. And slowly, locally, we are making a change. And I think we'll really see a change this year, given that we might get to have elections. Do you want to address that? I mean, look what just
Yeah.
happened in Fulton County, Georgia. What is your prognosis there?
Well, we need to fight on many fronts simultaneously. And that's something the fascists do a great job at. And that's part of why when people, even when well-intentioned people, tell you, well, slow down, we need to have patience here and use the system and be incremental and use the institutions, they may not realize it, but they are aiding and abetting fascist and authoritarian consolidation. We need to move faster than them in more ways and more intensely. That is the only way to halt and reverse authoritarian consolidation, because they will always use the threat of escalation as a means of coercing control. And so if you always acquiesce to threats of violence, then ultimately you have surrendered. Because how long is that? Oh yeah, well, once we know they're not going to hurt us for disagreeing with them, then we'll fight back. Doesn't happen. And so will elections happen? My hot take right now, I try to avoid hot takes. I think that we're going to end up with Republican states just tossing ballot boxes wherever in any blue counties. What's crazy? I was just doing some research on states and what percentage of their voters approve of Donald Trump. Mississippi's at 50%. And I saw that there were some of these states that I saw as deep red, that actually it's deep voter disenfranchisement, not popular support. And just voter disenfranchisement already prior to Donald Trump, prior to the full gutting of the Voting Rights Act, prior to them getting rid of every organization within the federal government that would actually enforce democratic standards at the state level. Um, these states already are acting as authoritarian electoral autocracies. Prior to all of this, we are not a functioning democracy and have not been. And so to we already fail every day that we accept any senators from Texas as weighing in the US Senate. We fail when we accept their House election results because they are sending people who are part of a system that is meant, and again, modern electoral autocracy is much more pervasive because you can always leave room for your moderates to say, well, they still have elections. You just got to show up. Well, they have one ballot box for 3 million people and joke on podcasts, or no, laugh on podcasts while mentioning that Democrats would have won the state if they hadn't interfered. No consequences. You cannot share a government with people who do not play fair and people who want you dead. So what do we do when they try to cancel elections? We have to govern anyway, wherever you can, whenever you can. You step up and you say, we do not respect your results. We do not respect what you're going to try and do. And ideally, you check out at buymeacoffee.com/the the Defund Fascism Act. It's also sometimes called the Constitutional Protection Tax Escrow Act. We've given it a few different names as it's gone through some different iterations, but frankly, you don't even have to check it out. You just pass a law saying, hey, if you do something so blatantly unconstitutional that even if the Supreme Court approves it, we're not okay with it. You break this agreement so hard, then we will order all employers in the state to divert their federal tax withholdings to a constitutional defense escrow account. This is a rational, mediated response because rather than going for violence or fully submitting secession paperwork or just acquiescing, you're saying, our currently employers in the state send you money. We are going to instruct them that due to the contract that has been shattered to such an extreme degree that they have tried to nullify our elections, they have invaded and occupied our cities, they have tried to instill leaders who we did not approve of, they have weaponized federal political resources to destroy the constitutional order so thoroughly that if you are an employer in our state, we are ordering you to divert taxes to a constitutional defense escrow. We will help you if we have money set aside to actually help you if you have legal issues as a result of this. But let me tell you, as we saw with cannabis legalization or cannabis decriminalization, if enough people decide to not comply, then it is unenforceable. In fact, the Republicans are doing this very effectively.
Oh,
ICE,
yeah,
all
they
that.
do it all the time. You're talking cannabis. Colorado started that. And there's also precedent in Colorado for withholding federal payments because our budget has to balance. We have a Tabor regulation, and Colorado state budget cannot go into a deficit. And when the federal government refused in 2025 to pay some funds that were owed and already budgeted in the Colorado state budget, we withheld paying back to the federal government to cover that deficit so that we did not go into the red. I mean, so there's a precedent there. It's not well established. It needs to be rewritten and redrawn specifically to deal with federal crimes. But, I
Yeah.
have a litmus test now for a candidate. If you're not going to stand up for democracy and justice and prosecute, if you can, I'm not voting for you. I'm not doing it. I don't want to hear remove. I don't want to hear impeach. I want to hear prosecute. I want justice. America is starving for justice. And that was a line in my last podcast, but it's true. I mean, we are. Everyone is. We want to see justice. It's dispiriting every day to see them get away with more and more stuff. It's lawlessness. It's thuggishness. It's fascist.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I completely agree that litmus test is really necessary. And, fighting for human rights, it's just, the politicians, I want to encourage people there. Get to know your local politicians. Make sure they know your name. Make sure they know what you value. And they are so good at trying to make you feel little or dumb or like you're asking too much when you ask for justice and human rights and basic decency and common sense. And if they feel that's too much and they're going to try to give you a 20-minute explanation for why that's not legitimate, you tell them to go, resign. That's part of why we can't just wait for the next election. Be there for the next election, fight for it, pass the escrow laws, all that. But show up at your politician's office. Make sure they know who you are. Invite friends to collaborate. And also, if you want some additional guidance on how to influence politicians, I do want to mention it's going to be live on the website soon, but you can download for free at buymeacoffee.com/TheER, the Grab Them by the Ear booklet, how to make politicians do what you want. It's educate, activate, recruit, repeat. It's a system I've been working on. It uses historical precedent, academic research, and it's a solid thing. Also, we have a Discord at the Existentialist Republic. You hop on there. There's other activists. I don't get to be as active as I would like on it, but I'm really hoping to get enough people into the distributed activism network where you're able to do it independently. There's no gatekeepers. You can be solo, but also you can always invite others to collaborate or to join or participate in effective activism.
Yeah, I'm on your Discord, and there's a lot of people there really good at organization. They really have figured out ways to get the word out on certain things, for certain things. I've met a lot of people on there, and there's a lot of them on here. Show us some hearts, because I see some of my Discord buddies on here right now. Hey, Buzz Sweetie, good to see you. Joe Greenwood, hello. Hello, Holly Houston and Marianne Bernard. You guys just came. We're so glad to have you. Wendy has a long comment there. I don't know if we can get to it. I'm for a pro-democracy coalition. Yeah, baby, that's what we're talking about.
Blue State Coalition. You do the work, right? We can have state representatives and city council members and dog catchers and people on school boards who are like, yeah, I don't want Texas's senators to tell people in Washington what they're allowed to do. And we just got to fight for the people at every level and build that coalition. It's sad the Tea Party co-opted something that was legitimate and real. This country was founded on rebellion. Be the rebel. I rebel, therefore I exist. Albert Camus style. Get people on board, lobby them unofficially, and bring them on board for reality, rational, good policy.
Listen, I want to talk a little bit about how we each came to this work, because we didn't start out here. You want to tell us a little bit about your background?
Yes, I also want to mention I apologize for interrupting you before in my enthusiasm. Okay, so I'm sorry about that, Sandy. Okay, so let's see. My background, uh, Eagle Scout, wrestler. That was before 18. Sectional champ. Uh, only 20 years ago. That's the childhood. Awesome parents who were really cool. I watched them turn from compassionate conservative Republican Mormons in 2000 to socialist atheist anti-war folks in 2004. Very proud of my parents for setting an example for me and my siblings of acknowledging reality and growing from it. And then, as an adult, joined the military, served in the Air Force for 8 years as security forces, went on 2 deployments, supported Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom, earned my associate's, bachelor's, and master's degrees while active duty. Master's is in Homeland Security, which is, believe it or not, a Master's of Science degree that you can get, and also associate's and bachelor's, criminal justice and psychology. After that, did a couple different things. Tried some different stuff, mostly wrote books and worked in politics and just a lot of ADHD for a couple of years, did some substitute teaching, spent a little period working at a group home for behaviorally challenged kids in the foster care system. Usually they'd been kicked out of at least 20 different homes for different behaviors. Was a corrections officer for a year as well, which was not a good fit for me because if you want something to mess with you psychologically, let me tell you, working in prisons as a corrections officer is we conform to the shape of our vessels. And that's something I tell people a lot. I look at those ICE agents And I say, in a different world, I might have ended up them. Now, that doesn't excuse their behavior. It doesn't even make me empathize with it. It just reminds me that we have to keep ourselves accountable, because what makes me different from them, if I don't explore my behavior, my morals, my ethics, and look for exterior points and to orient myself and make sure that I'm attached to reality and to humanity. And so, yeah, that helps ground me in that. And now journalism, I mean, I mostly started posting on Substack and Medium because I didn't want to I didn't want, every time I would try to go to a publisher for my books, I'd be writing to literary agents or to publishers, and they have these really boring explanations. And I would say, I could just be writing a book right now rather than writing a publisher. And so I did that for a while. And then I said, okay, well, I don't want a Facebook or anything like that. So how about I found, Medium and Substack let you build email lists. So I said, cool, I'll just build email lists and sell to people directly. And then eventually I've been riding the wave for a year, and growing. And now we have the YouTube channel, and the Existentialist Republic has a couple people who are working more actively. We pay them when we can. And in the next year, there's some really awesome stuff coming down the pipe. And yeah, so that's where I am. You want to go?
I do. I wanna say, though, that it's been wonderful to kinda watch you grow stronger and stronger over the past year, and it's also been wonderful getting to be friends, like
Ditto.
pinging each other late at night with ideas, chatting,
Yes,
just all the
it's a
stuff that
treat.
we've done. Yeah, it's a treat. All the people that I've gotten to know on Substack. The thing that I started out doing in this life was just trying to, create beauty, whatever I can, and I've done it in so many ways. I've also lived a really wild and dangerous life, and I have bunches of stories to tell about that. But I have this wonderful team that I wanna talk about. It started when the pandemic happened, and a group of us came together and started making videos, and having meetings on Zoom, and big Zoominars with lots of big national name politicians on them. And we ended up raising a lot of money for them to get a lot of good people elected, and there are people in office now, like I say, who will pick up the phone if I called, but this doesn't feel like we're changing much now. We've done it for a long time, and so a couple of years ago, we formally created a production team. All of our production team members bring tremendous talent and skill in various areas, and they're all volunteers. And I want to give a shout out to my team, our Democracy Collective right now: video editors, script editors, writers, graphic designers, and just people who do all the stuff that's boring that needs to support all that work. And so when I moved to Substack last year, my thinking was, I have a background in journalism, have a degree there, have experience there, very successful as an author. I want to write about what's going on so that people can see that someone knows how they're feeling about it. Not just, I don't want to cover the news. I want to talk about the news, and I want to resonate with people about the news. And so started with that. I do an essay about once a week, and then I do a companion podcast for that, which I get to bring my musician, composer, producer, artist self into that, and tons of voices from my community. I mean, there are just rocking people in my community doing amazing things, and I love to put their voices in my podcast. So I'm liking it. It's my passion. You're a Jersey guy. We've talked a lot about how I'm having my Bruce Springsteen, Nebraska moment on Substack. That's why I'm here, and this friendship that we formed and the ones that we formed with other people like-minded, really trying to shape things at the ground up. It feels good. It feels like the only good thing right now when everything else is so dark.
Yeah. Well, it took me a time. I spent the first few months of the regime in a deep depression. I cried so hard the next morning. It was the only time in many years of therapy. It was the only time where I had to cancel. I was sobbing so hard that I said, they were like, "Do you want a minute?" And I said, "No, we need to reschedule," because they couldn't understand me over the phone. I was crying so hard and just like feeling the expectation of how much suffering was to come. And I spent a couple months completely unplugged during that time, wrote some fiction, which was really fun under a pseudonym, but I'll release it under my name at some point, and when the time is right. But Yeah. So when I was ready, I slowly made my way back to politics and engagement, just when I was up for it. And I've really been, like you, like doing the work of just meeting the moment as much as we can. And I'm really grateful for your friendship in that process. And for many months, I was getting getting a lot of interview requests and media stuff and invitations, and was just like, nope, I'm not doing anything until I'm ready. I am just going to write my articles and my books and my booklets and give people tools. And slowly, I've been doing more of these sorts of things so that I can, just as I'm ready, meet things. And that's what a lot of what I try to tell people is truly just pick a tiny thing you can do every day and build that muscle. This is a long fight. And, when you're weightlifting, you start with tiny weights. That's okay. But just frequency, duration, and intensity are the three principles that govern growth and development in all biological mechanisms. Thank you, Barb. And so, or all biological organisms. So, frequency, show up a little bit every day, at least 3 to 5 days a week. And then when you show up, it doesn't have to be a big intensity at first, because you want to be able to show up frequently. And if your intensity is too high, then you're not going to be able to show up frequently, right? And then the duration, how long are you going to be showing up? And so you have to get those, you have to keep tweaking the type of outreach you're doing, the type of connections you're doing, and outreach you're doing. And eventually, in 1, 2, 3 years, you are an influence machine. And it sounds like, Sandy, you've really seen that, of like, you show up and you're like, hey, let me put together a thing for you, and I'm just going to invite people and all. You do that, and then after like a year or two, all these politicians, they know you. They answer
Oh,
your
yeah.
calls.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. And we raise a lot of money for the good ones, and we have some good ones in Colorado. I want to say my first post that I posted on Substack and did the companion podcast for was titled How to Feel When the World is Falling Apart. And that's the approach I took coming in was, how's everybody doing with what's going on in our country? And the thing that I keep realizing over and over again is people are feeling really, really shattered by this, but they still are marching. They're still out there doing things, and that it doesn't mean they're not sad. They're not all glowy and, blowing sunshine everywhere, but they're determined. And that determination is so powerful. It's so inspiring to me. I mentioned my county, but I'm also really woven in deeply in the blue connective tissue in Colorado. I know people all over the state who are doing this, little indivisible groups way out in rural areas where they have to meet on Zoom because it's 50 miles to drive to their neighbor's house. It's people that are on the western slope and can't get out to, they have to feed the cows and stuff before they can attend a Zoom meeting. It's people that are working really hard for the wolf reintroduction project here in Colorado and trying to keep our ecosystem alive, which is also our economic system. People don't come to Colorado for its big cities. Sorry, Denver. They come for the beautiful wild mountains. So we need to keep streams clean. We need to keep our ecosystem alive. And there's people all over this state doing all sorts of work. And it's so inspiring. And their hearts are broken over what's happening, but they're still marching.
We're coming
So
tougher all the
I
time.
I think we've had a lot of people join late, but let's do it again. You want to? In the
I mean, I'm
meantime,
here.
why don't you tell people where they can find you and, what they can do with you and for you?
Well, if you were gonna do one, let's see, one money thing that would be cool is I have a bunch of booklets that you can buy, physical booklets and other merch and products, like Abolish Billionaire bumper stickers and some cool T-shirts, and a notebook, and also the Oppositional Federalism 96-page booklet. I'm really proud of it. I'm publishing academic research on the term oppositional federalism. I've been working to build a 3-tier model for U.S. federalist response to fascism, a model that can really work. And it just takes activists getting engaged. And we do that for a while. And it uses existing infrastructure from our founding. So the Oppositional Federalism and You booklet, that's at the existentialistrepublic.com. There's also the intro to soft secession booklet, which has been very, very popular. Sometimes people say, shouldn't you call it something besides secession? And I'm like, no, people like soft secession way more. Like the Oppositional Federalism booklet is more like it's so much more developed, but just because the title doesn't catch you the same way, it hasn't done as well. But that's okay. I just say it's a good framework, and I hope you'll consider reading it. But I mentioned the money thing. Everything I ever do ever is for free on buymeacoffee.com/the ER. Always, even every book I write, like I got a literary agent, and I'm like, just so you know, we better, we're doing contracts. I'm going to give anything that I think can make the world a better place away for free in some form or another. And so buymeacoffee.com/the ER, you can get the Intro to Soft Secession booklet for free, a digital copy. You can get the Oppositional Federalism booklet. You can get the Grab Them by the Ear, How to Make Politicians Do What You Want booklet. We also have Soft Secession trifolds that you can just print out, fold them up, put them on your neighbor's doors. And a whole bunch of other things. So buymeacoffee.com/the ER, theexistentialistrepublic.com, and also just if or just like call, like send a mean tweet to Ted Cruz and then call your state legislator and tell them what you want them to do. And this is my legacy. If I get hit by a meteorite, I ask that these be my legacy, is be mean to terrible politicians and hold the good ones or wannabe good ones accountable with good policy.
That's awesome, Chris. It's been so fun to share this with you. I would just like to ask you one more thing. Will you tell us what it was like to be on the ground for the nurses' vigil for Alex Freddie?
You know, I gotta say, it was emotional, but it wasn't sad. There was um, really beautiful music and art. I mean, so much that the physical, there's an area where people are putting signs and art and this huge painting that somebody did of him that I need to get posted. I got a lot of footage I've been shooting, and I'm new to the video stuff, but uh,
I can help with that.
I need to send it to you. I'll get you access to the file. Um, but it was beautiful and inspirational, and there's so much love, and the mixed feeling of saying to myself, I do not sincerely believe that anyone will be held accountable for his death. And that is horrible. And I saw some ICE agents today, and I was like, I just got really emotional. I was like, oh man, they could just kill me right now. And then I would also never, nobody would hold them accountable. But the community is here. We are fighting. It is a cumulative legacy over time that we can keep stepping up and keep fighting back, because power has never been ceded to the people gently. It's never come easy. We've always, all of human history, have had to fight for every inch of justice that we want in this country. Every single bit we move the ball down the field, although I hate sports metaphors. Any justice you want, any justice for the people, taking power away from the haves and putting it in the hands of the have-nots, is hard fought. It does not come quickly. It does not come in a day. It will take. We will succeed. We will move forward and we will move backward, and that is just how it's going to be. But I'm here for the fight. Rest in peace, Alex Pretty. Rest in peace, everyone. There are names of people we don't know, and at least we know about Alex Pretty because it's on video. We might not if it hadn't happened on video. So for all of those who've been hurt, we stand, we fight, we do it proudly. We don't do it with our shoulders slumped. You can have tears in your eyes, but you stand tall for justice and freedom. Thank you all for being here, and rest in peace to the people whose names we know and the people whose names we don't.
Hearts up, everyone. That's the way you stand tall, with your heart forward. So Chris and I are going to be collaborating a lot. I want to tell you guys how you can find out about my team. My team is on Substack. It's called Our Democracy Collective. We put out a video today. You can find us on YouTube. It's Our Democracy Collective on YouTube too. I'm at Sandi Ault Reporting from the Wild. And you can just Google me online and you'll find me in 1,000 other places. But Chris and I are going to keep collaborating. We're good buddies. We do good work together. We have different talents and we can bring those to each other's endeavors, and that's exciting. So next time you host, okay?
Deal, yes.
Deal.
And for folks out there who are in New York City, I'm trying to be in New York City end of February. Already got some meetings planned with state representatives, activists, organizers. I want to get some like group meetup with some of our people, and don't have a ton of bandwidth for organizing. I kind of just need to like I need help with that so that we can make it happen. So if you're in New York City and want to help make that happen, DM me. Yeah.
And
Thanks, everybody.
next time I get to wear the hat, and I'll try to have the wolf make an appearance.
Yes, I would
Sound
love
good?
that. Yes.
Thank you all for coming. We're going to close it out now. Really loved seeing you all. Keep giving us those hearts. Tell people about the work that Chris and I are doing, and we'll see you at the next one. Bye.